everybody, it's EK from EK Gorman Designs, and I'm coming in today to share this card with you that I whipped up for the Crafting Desert Divas monthly mood board challenge. This is the mood board for September of 2017, but they have a different mood board for each month, and if you can find them on their Facebook gallery. I used their Harvest Wishes stamp set, and knew from the beginning I wanted to mask out a scene, so I pre-cut all my masks out and stamped each of the little critters out and the pumpkins, masking each time, and then adding more of the stamps behind so I could create a little false scene of all these little mice and their pumpkins. This masking has gotten so much easier with the stamping tool. I'm not going to lie, I am now capable of building much better scenes than I was prior to the stamping tool. I wanted to show you, I get ink from the masks on my fingers, and then I get them on the cards. And this eraser, this Mono Tombow sand eraser, gets those marks off like nobody's business. I knew I wanted to distress the background, but I didn't want the ink in the scene. So I pulled, this is my favorite trick to mask a scene. I'll put some Post-it tape onto a piece of tape and the die, and then attach it so that way it's exactly where I want it to be without having to overwork the system. And then all I gotta do is pull off the mask from the cardstock. It took me a minute. Here we go, I've got it, and the mask is off! But you take the mask and then position the negative space, put the mask back in it, and you get the mask exactly where you want it without the mistakes. I used Distress Oxides today to blend in the background. I will tell you, the makeup sponges started by fluke. When I got my first Distress Oxides, I didn't have any extra blending sponges around, and I wanted to start playing with them right away. So I pulled out a bunch of, I always have makeup sponges laying around the house. I mean, they are an artist's best friend, especially when it comes to acrylic paints. I love makeup sponges. But they work great with Distress Oxides, and they're a fraction of the cost of traditional blending sponges. And you're able to both blend in a circular motion or dab, and I like dabbing on the distressed inks. I think, I don't know, there's something about it that I just think it keeps it more vibrant. I find the Distress Oxides can get a little muted in color. And so I find that by dabbing them on instead of blending them on, I keep the vibrancy of the colors. I could have done this with Distress inks. It would have gone either way. It could have easily been used by either. But I think my oxides are on my table, thus why it was so easy to use them. But yes, I wanted a nice vibrant fall background that wasn't necessarily brown. I wanted to keep it bright and bold and harvesty without any brown tones. I will tell you, I had a little trouble blending the antique linen color. I may have been heavy-handed and not sponged off enough, or it may have just, I'm pretty sure it was user error. It's almost always user error when there's a major mistake. It's me messing things up. But there you go. There is the beautiful background with the Distress Oxides. And then my favorite part of any masking, the moment you get to pull off the masking and see the scene you've left behind. I went into my Copic coloring knowing I was going to keep the color palette really, really simple. Obviously, the pumpkins were all going to be orange, and I wanted to bring out the spice marmalade tones of the Distress Oxide, so I really tried to pick colors that would pull that bottom half of the card colors out. So I use this combination of this is not my normal pumpkin combination. This is the one I picked to help pull out the colors in the Distress Oxides. So it's a YR02, YR24, and a YR27. And it makes the pumpkin look nice and muted without looking dull. There's still some vibrancy within the coloring of them. I don't know, for me it works. And there's so many pumpkins. The last thing I wanted to do was each of them have a different color tone. It seemed like a lot of effort for very little payoff. Because the scene is so tight and the vibrancy of the Distress Oxides in the background, are so vivid, adding all kinds of colors were never to me going to create the impact that it would in, say, a different scene. For the mice, I just did light shades of gray so that they were almost little white mice. But I wanted to distinguish the difference between the girl mouse and the two boy mice. So to do that, I pulled out the cool grays and the warm grays. And for the little girl, I went with a cool tone, trying to set her apart as feminine with those cool tones. And then for the boys, I used the warmer tones. And it's subtle, but I think it works. I think, in fact, using this different combination paid off in the end. I will tell you, my middle child, all she wants in life is a little white mouse. Like, anytime you ask her, like, hey, Christmas is coming up, what do you want for Christmas? Little white mouse. And I'm a firm believer. I've spent all this time as a wife and a mother trying to keep rodents out of the house, that one should not intentionally bring rodents into the house. So this is about as close as I think she's going to get to a little white mouse. And it's funny because she came in, saw me coloring this, and went, oh, little white mice, can I have a little white mouse? And I was like, oh, no. I was like, you can have a little white mouse if they can carve our pumpkins. And she did not find that nearly as amusing as I did. The blue tones for all the clothing came from one simple factor. Blue is the opposite color on the color wheel from orange. And I wanted the oranges to stand out, and I wanted the clothing to blend back without blending away. And to do that, I used the complementary colors on the color wheel. So I pulled out this I don't know, it's my jeans. It's the color I use to color jeans. I think everybody uses this color combination to color jeans because it looks like great dark denim. So I pulled out this combination of 4 markers. The boys got the darkest tones, and the little girl's dress stayed lighter, again, just to set off the boy and girl, but yet have them in the same family. And then just little touches. I didn't want to go pink because I think pink would clash, so little touches of pale red, which read as pink without having the purple undertones. I don't know. I think the mice ears worked. I think they blended in nicely with the pumpkins. For the pumpkin stems, I didn't do any fancy coloring. I took a light color, I took a dark color, I dropped the shadows in where it needed on the pumpkins, and I blended it out. They're just too small to have the impact of great shading, and it wasn't needed. So like I said, I made it green, I kept it dark. Here's where, if you can see the little sleeve, I realized I missed the little sleeve. I didn't want to do gray, and I didn't want to do black inside the pumpkin eyes, so I pulled out this really dark BG78 and colored in the jack-o'-lanterns with it. And then, again, the little carving tools, I just used one color. There was no need to add shadows to it because they're just so small. For the ground, I wanted it to have that nice fall, there could be leaves under them feeling. So I went with, I've been doing a lot of this lately, so if you're getting bored with it, I apologize, but I think it's very cool. Where you do the pointillism, where you just drop colors in and you layer the dots and build them up, and it creates in its own way a beautiful background. So that's what I did. A bunch of combinations of oranges and browns that I thought would bring out the pumpkins and bring out the Distress Oxide colors in the background. And just using nothing but little dots to create this ground that the little mice are sitting on. And I think in the end it got that effect of looking like both ground and leaves that I was going for. And then the background, I didn't want any color in it, but I needed to create some balance off of the horizon line. So just a little color coming up off the horizon line created that effect that I needed for the skyline to give it its own feeling. Now I was looking for a frame to put around it. And I have a horrible tendency of stamping my sentiment too early. And this is the case in point. I wanted a frame around the mice, and look where that frame is going right through. Yes, it is going straight through the sentiment I stamped out way too early. I have to learn to stamp sentiments later. I did have a solution though. I took a little pen and I traced where the sentiment would show, and I trimmed that portion off this die. Hee hee! See, I can be smart. If I stamped my sentiment later though, that would be smarter. Learning. I popped the the die up with some adhesive squares. So it would stand just slightly above the card, and then dropped it down onto it. And then you get to watch me fight the little squares off because my nails are very short right now, and it's hard to pull those little stickers off when your nails are as short as mine are. I would grow my nails out, but it doesn't last. It just doesn't work. I keep short nails. I trimmed 1/4 of an inch off each, or not off each side, a 1/4 inch off the length and the height of it, so that you'd see the slight white border of the frame. And then I pulled my favorite tape. Anybody wants to know what my favorite tape is, it's hands down Score tape. I know there's a lot of different adhesives, and I know this isn't necessarily the quickest adhesive to use, but boy, does this stuff work. Once you stick it, unfortunately, once you stick it down, it is stuck. The great news is, once you stick it down, it is stuck. So you need to make sure it's going where you want it to go when you place it, because there's no pulling it back up. But I have never had problems with cards peeling up when using Score tape. I added the frame on. I made certain the frame didn't cross into the sentiment. I did not center the frame off the thing, and I only noticed it after the fact. And then I realized the card needed a little something more. I needed some more pumpkins, which sounds funny because there's a bunch of pumpkins in the scene. But I pulled out a different stamp set from Crafting Desert Divas, the Harvest Happiness set, that has this really cute little pumpkin on it. Actually, it has, I think originally I intended to put both the big pumpkin and the little pumpkin. And I only ever used the little pumpkin because it worked. It created that balance that I needed around the card. And it's amazing. When I first started card making, I thought all these little stamps inside a stamp set were stupid. And only now do I realize they're not meant to be colored by me. They're meant to accent a card. And so that's what I use it for. Creating little accents around the card. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I use Distress inks a little bit differently. Not really, but kind of. And enjoyed watching me create this fun little harvest mouth scene. If you need to, if you want to, if you need to, click the dragon that will subscribe you to my channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.